Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, welcome to this episode of the Note Closure Show. As always, Scott Carson, jacked up, excited to be with you here today. Hopefully, you all guys had a great holiday season, Memorial Day weekend. It's hard to believe that the year is halfway over. Oh well, not quite. We still got 28 days left in the first half of 2025. So just flying by. But I wanted to talk today's episode and then open up for some questions for you guys that are joining us live on here as well, and those that are live streaming here. But unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people, I'm taking a lot of phone calls with people who are still trying to dive into the note business without actually becoming a note investor. I know that sounds funny. How can you dive into the note business without being a note investor? Well, what it is that people want to get into like wholesaling and they're being sold a bag of crap. I hate to say this, they're being sold a bag of crap by people who are not up to date in the industry. They're still selling a class or a workshop or a business opportunity based on stuff that's 5 years older or 10 years older, that's just not up to date with where we're at in today's real estate investing market. Okay. And I'm probably going to piss a few people off. I don't care. All right. I want you guys out there that are spending your money, your hard earned time, trying to find a real estate niche to invest your time and hard earned money in and hard earned hours of time to be effective, to be fruitful. And I'm getting phone calls after phone calls with people like, hey, I'm trying to do this and it's not working. Why is that? I'm trying to do this and it's not working. I'm not having any success with this. And they're buying other people's crap and coming to me to help set them straight. And I wanted to set the record straight on how you guys can become a smart note investor in today's AI world by working smarter, not harder, in just the basic things that you're doing that you don't have to spend a lot of money on to get rocking and rolling. Now, do we have a workshop? Yes, we have a workshop. We truly believe that our workshop, our 3-day workshop, really does gives you the nuts and bolts how to find, fund, and flip. To go out there, get started making offers on notes for your own investments. If you don't have private capital, it gives you the nuts and bolts to go out and start raising private capital, start talking to investors, and get the ball rock and roll. That's my whole facet for teaching, is to help you become successful. Whether you're buying notes with us or you're going out and buying notes on your behalf, I don't look at you as competition. All right. Now, I'm not going to tell you my top 12 hedge fund sources unless you're a coaching student. Yes, I'm not going to give away the bank, but I'm going to tell you how to go find those people, how to go find those sources at banks and lenders and note sources and stuff like that to be smart. So I first thought I'd share with some of the things I'm really seeing people do, and I'm not calling them stupid. We have the class kind of called No Buying for Dummies. Everybody's a dummy unless you know otherwise, right? But unfortunately, there's this kind of twofold facet in the note industry. We're kind of that transitional period where you got the Betty Blue hairs or the Bob Blue hairs, the older guard, who are used to doing business the old way of doing business, where they hoard their information, they upsell you at every freaking point. You buy a note from them, you're not going to pay a rock bottom dollar. You're going to be paying 10, 20, $30,000 above. If you can even find a note to buy from them that's not trashed up, that they haven't cherry picked, or they'll buy a note from you, but it's got to be perfect. It's got to be the absolute perfect ROI. Everything's got to be exactly perfect. And at the discount that they want, makes it really hard for you guys to make any money trying to put a deal together. Now, yes, you can wholesale some notes. You can buy some owner finance leads and go that route. But I'm hearing frustration after frustration, and people like who have invested money in these lists and stuff like that, who are sending out letters over and over again, wasting thousands of dollars in their time and money that they don't really have. And they're frustrated and they think note investing is a sham because it's one facet. And I always laugh because I get these phone calls and like, who'd you buy this program from? I bought it from a so-and-so, somebody in New England or somebody in Dallas or somebody in California. And it's not working. I'm like, yes, it's not working for a couple of reasons. Because you're not a smart note investor. I'm not calling people dummies. Don't think that for a second. But a smart note investor is investing in notes differently in today's market. They've been doing things differently for the last couple of years than those that had the old guard that comes before. Now, I'm kind of on that old guard. I've been doing this for about 20 years, but I really believe we've kept up to date with the times. We've done things to expand our business, to revolutionize our marketing, to revolutionize our deal flow, to really revolutionize our education so people can go direct to the point. We're always constantly updating our workshops. That's why we do them regularly so much. That's why we do them online. We were the first to do them online, live, and do the online note camp stuff, because we want you guys to be smart and we want to bring the information to you to get things rock and roll. So let's first of all dive into things that smart investors don't do. Okay. Smart investors, smart note investors do not do these things. Okay. And if you see people doing this, they're not very smart. All right. They're wasting their time and they're wasting your energy as well. Now, smart investors don't go out there and buy lists of mortgage note leads. They don't go out and buy a list of 500 newly originated mortgage notes from somebody else, from lead source across the country. This is public information. You can go to any county you want and spend just a few minutes and download and buy a list. Not buy a list, sorry. We don't want to buy these lists because these lists are shit. Okay? If somebody's newly originating a mortgage note, they can't afford to sell it at a discount. This is one of the biggest travesties I see note investors dealing with. Are people that create mortgage notes. They think they're going to make all this money by owner financing it and then turn around selling it, and nobody tells them about the discount. Okay? So if you're contacting a mortgage note holder who originated a note in the last 12 months, they probably can't take a discount. Now, yes, there's that rare occurrence where you can buy an owner financing if somebody's distressed. We're not talking about those types of distressed leads. Okay? And yes, you could send out letters, and it's going to be like direct mail campaigns, 1 to 4%. You're going to have to follow up with these people. It's a lot of dead wood, as we used to call this stuff in leads in the finance business. Dead wood or dead leads. You know, it's people who signed up for a form basically to get the free T-shirt. in the radio station DJs, we call these people the prize pigs. Yeah, they want it. They'll let you kick the tires and light the fires, but they're not going to sell you the note. They want to get bids. Oh no, I can't take a discount. I can't sell below that. I can't afford to do that, or I'm not in a position. So it's a frustrating thing because note holders start getting bombarded with letters from people trying to ask for a big discount because they got to get a big discount so that they can actually make $500 to $1,000. I saw one website, oh, we're going to give you $150 extra for your first note lead. Okay, that's great. But you're not setting people up. You're taking people, getting them to buy your leads list, have them mark it out on your behalf to get these people to call them and turn around and give them the short end of the stick. So smart note investors do not buy lists of mortgage note leads. I've had students come in board or membership. Oh, I bought 500 lists. I'm going to try to work that list. I'm like, why? It's a dead list. Well, I spent money on it. I got to make it work. No, it's not going to work. You're going to spend more money on direct mail. You're going to spend good money after bad money. Stop doing that. Let's work smarter, not stupider. Okay? Let's work like it's the 21st century in 2025, not like 1995. A lot has changed in the last 30 years. All right? I went home this past week. I spent some time with my mom, and I just kind of couldn't believe it's been 30 years since I graduated high school. A whole lot has changed in Ingleside, Texas. All right? A whole lot has changed in the note investing market. It's a smarter place if you'll realize that you can use smarter tools, the internet, AI, even in some cases. Stop taking your counsel from people who are not embracing education and not embracing how to deliver content to you at a much cheaper price. Okay. Smart investors don't go and post in Facebook groups for deals. There's a few note investing groups on there, and you're bombarded with people. We buy performing notes. We buy anything. Well, you don't really buy anything. Okay. Now, is posting there good? Yes, posting there is good. But you've got a bunch of people on there who are note investors looking for the same thing. You don't get a lot of people who have notes going into those groups and posting. And you get some people with owner finance stuff, but a lot of that time, this stuff's so overpriced or stupid, it doesn't make any sense at all. So true smart note investors looking for deals don't go in there and posting on Facebook groups for deals. Okay. They don't spend time on Bigger Pockets answering thousands of questions. All right. Bigger Pockets is a dumpster fire. It is a waste of time because you get all these trolls on there who are more interested in feeling like they're empowered, answering dumb questions. And there are dumb questions on there because that's a place where a lot of people go to get information. Unfortunately, it is not accurate. There's a lot of people on there that take things out of context. I mean, I had one guy on there that was talking about all the thousands of non-performing note deals he had, and he was just brokering some list he was getting from another company. I'm like, this is shit. This is not a legitimate list. Okay. So be careful. One big thing, if I see people with thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of comments, what else are they doing? When do they have the time to put all those comments on there and browbeat people and bash people for and calling new people stupid, which it happens a lot of times on there? Why don't they understand everybody starts off somewhere? You got to go for some stuff. So we got a hate relationship with it. It's sometimes good, and we'll talk about it during some of our classes too about how you can leverage that to raise capital. But I wouldn't be going there for answers on questions. It's just a lot of stupid people posting a lot of things that are out of context and they don't know the answers to really things. And it's if you deal with see somebody who's a troll, just quit wasting your time there and go on through. They also don't spend time buying on platforms like PaperStack, JKP. They don't waste their time on there. All right. Now they might go there and leverage some stuff on there, some of the context stuff, but they're not going to spend time going through an individual platform. They're going to be going direct to banks, direct to hedge funds. They don't need a list website. They don't need to deal with a buyer's mandate or a seller's rep or any of that crap. Okay. They're going direct to banks. They're going direct to sources. They're going direct to hedge funds. That's where smart note investors go. That's where we teach you to go. All right. Yeah, you can go to a PaperSec and look at what they have, but they don't have a lot of stuff that makes a lot of sense for you, especially in the non-performing note side. Well, if you're looking for some performing stuff and you want to put a little bit of your money to work on a performing note, okay, you can probably find something on there, but it does not make a business. That's more of a hobby. All right. It's the same thing like with FCI exchange back in the day. You couldn't make a full-time income on FCI exchange. I had people arguing, oh, I've bought a couple notes on FCI. Yeah, you bought a couple notes over how long? 5, 10 years? That does not make a business. Okay. Don't waste time directly with direct mail campaigns. This goes back in line with a list of mortgage note leads. Don't waste time sending out letters, postcards to chasing these mortgage note leads. Once again, the only time direct mail does kind of make sense is with like if you're targeting IRA investors, okay? Or you're targeting like probate leads, or you're targeting like subject to deals off these lists of non-performing notes that you get if you're targeting subject to deals. That makes sense. But using direct mail campaigns most of the time is the last bit to do. It's the last thing to do. There are so many other things you can do with social media, email blasts, skip tracing, all other things to find deals or to connect with borrowers out there to work smarter instead of harder. And no, you don't have to do it all yourselves. Most of these smart note investors are not doing all these things themselves. They're hiring VAs or using AI or skip tracing tools and systems or services to help them get 24 hours out of a day, not 8 hours a day themselves after they get off of work, but they're leveraging these things to put 24, 40 hours of work into a day using tools and VAs to make themselves smart. And some of that costs money, but others that sometimes these AI tools don't cost you anything, maybe a little bit per month to make you look smarter and get direct to the source or to actually be more effective in your marketing campaigns. Okay. They don't waste time. This is the number one thing. Smart note investors don't waste time trying to wholesale. All right. Yes. Do we have a note wholesaling course? Yes, we do. We have a class, a full day class on it. It's a master class. Our WC and crew is privileged to that. We're doing probably a new class on that. But smart note investors, yes, they might wholesale one or two deals, but they learn the note business. They learn what they're looking for. Okay. They're not doing like I've had people, well, what's your buy box? What's exactly so I can go find that? I don't need you to go find stuff for me. I don't need you to bring it and just throw spaghetti against the wall in my email inbox. It doesn't make sense. And I finally, there's three guys that were like sending me stuff. I was like, listen, man, stop sending me stuff. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, you're just throwing shit against the wall. You're not even looking at the deals. If it says non-performing note, you're sending it my way. You're not doing a deep dive to see if it's a deal. You're not even answering the questions. You're just forwarding an email blast or something like that's only got partial information. I don't need that. I want somebody who's a smart note investor who understands the deal, the profitability, where the profit points are. That makes a smart note investor. And a smart note investor, when they realize that wholesaling gives you the short end of the stick, they don't do it. They don't waste the time going out trying to build a buyer's list. They use that same strength and the same attitude instead of creating a wholesale list of wholesale buyers. They're buying. I'm sorry. They're creating a list of note investors or private investors to fund their deals. The same activity, the same marketing. I'd rather be building something for myself than building just to make a 500, 695, or $1,000 wholesale fee. That's the short end of the stick every freaking time. Oh, I don't have the money. Guess what? Go network. Go talk to investors or use some of the things that we teach to help raise capital. Everybody's able to raise private capital. Okay. Now, let's talk about what smart note investors are doing in today's world with it being 2025. Okay. Smart note investors are doing these things. First and things are most, like I said, they're going direct to banks and lenders for deals. They're going to reputable hedge funds or reputable brokers for lenders and stuff to buy notes direct. They're building their own relationships. They're going direct to servicing companies, business developers. They are going direct, not going through a third party, not going through a website, not going through a seller's rep. They don't do that shit. Okay. They're going direct to banks and lenders for deals. And they're getting multiple deals and multiple lists sent to them on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. Okay. That's how you work smart in the business. That's why you don't get desperate trying to squeeze one square peg in a round hole because it's the only deal you have. When you realize the abundance mentality out there and that there are so many other deals available, then you don't get so desperate to buy a crappy deal in Zanesville, Ohio, just because the guy you talk to class says, oh, it's perfect. You ain't got to pull a BPO. No, you don't need to pull a BPO because he doesn't want you to see that the roof is caving in, that the stairway is caving in on the deck. Okay. You have to do your deals. Trust but verify. All right. And I'm not saying this is one of the things we always say. Hey, if you're buying a note, you need to do your due diligence. You need to order a BPO. You need to get eyes on the property. You need to pull your O&E, your title work. That's very important. If you don't do those things, then you are asking to be shortchanged on that deal. Okay. And no, you don't need to sit around and wait for someone to provide a list after they've cherry picked everything off for you. If you're going to be dealing direct with somebody, make sure you're getting the whole list. This is one of the things that we really pride ourselves on. So when we do get lists in for our coaching students and our monthly members, hey, here's the list, make offers. Here's what, like we got a list of 52 notes. Hey, here's what our bids were at. If you want to make offers, you'll make a bid above these, but these are lower pricing. Here's exactly what I have, and let's get rocking and rolling. Okay. Some people do that. If you're going to be paying 10, 20, 30, $40,000 for a note above what you paid for coaching or other things like that, you're in the wrong spot. You're in the wrong spot. You're treated as a number, not part of the community. Okay. And then here's the thing. I said, don't post just to Facebook, and that's what a lot of people do. Look, smart note investors, they have a VA that's using a service like Buffer or Hootsuite or other things to post, hey, we buy notes everywhere. They're posting to LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook groups. They have their newsletter. They've got their email database. They are posting everywhere what they're looking for. They're advertising, hey, we buy notes. We buy notes everywhere. I buy non-performing notes. I buy performing notes. They're posting everywhere. Not just in one little Facebook group. They're posting it everywhere because they understand running a business is running a business. You never know who's going to, but posting to a LinkedIn group or a Facebook group that's got 200, 300 members and that's all that's in there, and they're just keep posting on there, that's like incest. It doesn't make any sense. You need to get out of the gene pool and expand it to other people out there. All right. Here's another thing smart investors are doing. They're creating their own content. They're literally creating videos. They're creating shorts. They're creating, hey, here's what we're looking for. Maybe it's audio, maybe it's podcast, maybe it's YouTube videos, just talking about what they're looking for. If you're not creating content, you are literally in the dark ages. I'm sorry. You are in the dark ages. In today's world of YouTube, podcasting, and everything else out there, you can get just about everything you need by using the sources. Okay. But part of the reason our biggest lead gen source is our YouTube videos, it is our podcast, it is our email database, it is our LinkedIn newsletter, it is our LinkedIn, because we're sharing stuff that we're working on, we're sharing stuff that we have, sharing stuff with closed deals. This builds confidence. It's the whole 80% of sales are made after the fifth contact, people. If you're not sharing what you're doing, how is your friend or your neighbor or colleague supposed to know that, hey, they came and heard somebody talk about notes? How are they going to know to send that deal to you if they don't know what the hell you do? They still think of you as Johnny in IT or Sally in HR. Okay? You got to start sharing what you're doing. And waiting around to get your ducks in a row is not appropriate. I'm sorry. Get out there, start sharing, start making things happen. You wait for everything to be perfect, you're never going to do it. And here's the thing, like I talked before, Smart note investors aren't going to these platforms to find deals. They're going to these platforms to find a deal source. Who's smart now? Who's the smart person here? The person that posts who the seller is, or who goes to the seller directly and say, "Hey, I know you might have one or two in there, but what else do you have?" All right. Funds do not want to waste their time posting one note deal on a platform and then posting all 50. They'd rather try to get one and move that way. Note sellers would rather deal with one or two people to buy all 50 versus 50 individual. Okay. This is why we talk about leveraging like LoopNet or auction.com and that whole merging thing that just happened 10x, exchange.loans. There's times we'll buy some individual stuff from that stuff. But the big part is people are not sitting around. Good, smart people don't wait around to be fed. They're going out and catching the fish and trapping the fish themselves. Okay. They're not being the little baby bird sitting there, please feed me, please feed me. No, they're being daddy bird going out and getting the worm. All right. And here's another thing. Smart note investors, when they're getting a list, and they don't just make one note offer on the best asset. They're making multiple offers to get multiple accepted offers. This is a big mind block that we see happening all the time with new note investors. Well, I only got 50K. I can only make one offer at 50K in this one note. And even though it's the prettiest note, there's a ton of competition, I'm just going to make one offer. That's doing the bare minimum. If you're going to build a house of note investing, and if you're going to build a house today, would you hire the cheapest contractor who would just put up four like 2x4s, slap some paint on that and some cheap plywood and say, "There's your house"? No, you're going to hire people that go in and do all the things that need to be done. And that's the thing. They're going to be making multiple offers. They're going to be doing multiple things today, putting the plumbing, the electrical, the housing, the roofing, all that stuff in at once. Same thing. You're going to be making multiple offers, the more likelihood you to get offers accepted. And then you can pare that down. If you haven't raised capital yet, then you pare that down to what you have in your account, your IRAs. Okay. But only making one offer isn't going to get you, it's a much lower success rate than versus making 10. If you make 10 offers, you're 10 times more likely to get an offer accepted. If you make 50 offers, you're 50 times more likely to get something accepted versus one. Okay. That's one of the biggest things that we see aha nuggets from our coaching students, or one of them, I need to make more offers. My offers at 20 are much more palatable and much more exciting than making one offer. Okay. And there's the number one thing. Smart note investors don't go out and wholesale. They're not trying to flip shit without taking action. They're going to buy for their own portfolio first. Now, if they end up having a wholesale because they don't have the money raised, stuff like that, okay. But they know the deal. They know the profit margins. They know the profitability. They know the spread. They know, hey, I can still give you, if I can make a $5,000 wholesaling fee, that's better than $695 because that's what the deal holds. They're smart note investors. Too many people are taking advantage of ignorant note investors out there that don't know the whole inflows or the true profit margins. They're just trying to slap wall without doing the due diligence. Well, this deal, actually, you could get a 15% return, but pay me $5,000 versus me only getting $1,000. And now you're making 20%. Okay. Be smart. Understand the industry if you can. I know if you come into it, there's a lot of information. You're not going to learn all about the note business by just a podcast or one free class. You got to invest some time. All right. That's one of the biggest things I could tell you is that's what smart investors are also doing, ladies and gentlemen, is they're also investing their time in learning the ins and outs of the industry. They're getting mentoring, they're getting coaching because they don't want to be doing business like somebody was doing it 25, 30 years ago. And unfortunately, some of the educators out there are still doing business that way. There's one guy, he just focuses on one type of business. He tells his business, it only works in Dallas and Phoenix for him. He doesn't do it anywhere else. Well, that doesn't work if you don't live in Dallas or Phoenix. Okay. I've had people come to me and say, Scott, well, you give a lot away. Your generation gives a lot away. Our generation doesn't do that. I said, well, you can either A, evolve with the times, or guess what? You're going to pass away like the dodo bird. You have to evolve. If you're not evolving as a note investor and investing like it's the 21st century versus the 20th century, you are going to fail. And if you're learning from somebody who hasn't updated their stuff, isn't doing smart things, ladies and gentlemen, you're just setting money on fire and burning it. Okay. And there's a lot of ways to learn. Like I said, there's a lot of information on YouTube and podcasts and stuff like that. Besides classes, that's the slower way to learning. That's the YouTube University is not bad. You're going to spend more time, but if you want to go from 0 to 60, now's the time to really dive in and learn. And we're really excited about a couple cool things that we're working on right now. It's not up to date yet. We're going to be talking about this a little bit more next week. But let me share my screen if I can pull it up here. We're working on this kind of a cool software thing that we're pretty stoked about. Do I even have it up anymore? Yeah, I've got it up here. And what we're doing, and I reached out to our WCN crew members, and a couple people respond some stuff. We're basically working to create an AI version of all of our classes and all of our top videos, top video training that you can go into, type a couple questions, and it will feed you everything you need to know about that topic. All right. When the process, it's a little bit of work uploading a ton of videos into this system and having AI go on there and work it, but giving you cheat sheets, giving you guides, showing you if you go in and type in how do I raise private capital, it taking you to the best sections of the best videos there and giving you point by point where you can watch, read, download transcripts up and learn in a multitude of ways, not only audio, visually, but also reading. The three facets of things. I mean, you could smell, but that's not going to help you learn, you know what I mean? Hearing, reading, and listening and seeing is also the three facets. But we've got a lot of good stuff. We're in the process of finishing. I think we got about another 10 or 20 videos of doing some stuff from me, some stuff from others that you've really liked. We're going to be updating some of this stuff as well too, with some of the older stuff, with re-updating it for 2025 and beyond. We're going back a few years and some stuff that you guys have really, really liked based on videos and views. So some of our best viewed videos, not shorts, but longer form content. And then also some of our most downloaded podcast episodes as well, going back and finding the videos for you too. So we're hitting you on a multiple facet approach. This is going to be something for our WCN crew members and monthly membership members. We're going to have access to this as a bonus for you guys. If you're not part of our WCN crew, you want to get signed up at noteumbrella.com. It's $97 a month. It's a fantastic access to training, workshops, coaching, phone calls. I got to give a big shout out to Albert, texting me questions about some deals he's working on, and we're really excited the growth that he's making. And it's just a great spot for you to learn and really cut down that learning curve. So if you do have questions, you can go in here and ask specific questions about specific things, and it'll take you literally in seconds to this direct content in these different episodes. And you can either watch a longer episode or watch just the session that mentions what you're asking. All right. So we're trying to speed up that learning curve for you guys using AI in the 21st century to make you a smart note investor and not a dummy. Any questions, any comments, any concerns about it with you guys here that are on from the WCN crew? Any other questions? Anything else you guys are working on that you'd like for me to go over with you? Hey, Fernando, good to see you, buddy. Hey, Cliff, good to see you. Hey, Andrew. Glad to see you all out there getting rocking and rolling. All right. If you have any other questions, if you guys don't have anything else you'd like to talk about, I want to wish you a great day. Hopefully you have a phenomenal week. We are really excited at what the second half of the year is going to hold for us. We're also really excited at not only just on note deals, but on the education side there for you, and some of the amazing things that we're seeing coming down the pipeline and some stuff. So go out there. This video right now, Fernando, is live streaming on YouTube. So if you go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, WeCloseNotes.tv, you'll be able to watch this in probably about an hour once the YouTube cycles it through. But it's streaming live on YouTube. All our videos are on YouTube and are able for you to watch on there. All right. So go to WeCloseNotes.tv. It'll pop up a button. Do you want to subscribe? Click subscribe. And then that way you'll be alerted when we have new videos and new live videos as well for you. All right. Literally Scott Carson at your fingertips. So go out, take some action, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you at the top.